Hey, how's everyone doing? Again. I decided to make this more of a consistent thing. Um, really just posting my rants out on YouTube. But basically, the thing I want to talk about now is the fact that you are surrounded by ideas, right? So if you think of everything, right? Everything that you are surrounded by came from the mind, right? Or is influenced by the mind, right? If you walk out, I'm sure you live in some sort of civilized area, right? It had to exist in someone's head before it became a thing in reality, right? Things that we thought were impossible before, such as flight, became possible through others' ideas, right? So basically, all things are a reflection of what was in someone's mind, which is why we often which is why like in almost every culture there's an acknowledgement of like a primordial mind that thought of it all, right? God. There is an acknowledgement that nature or creation had to have come out of some of a primordial intelligence, right? And because of the way everything is set up, right? How there's so many perfect synchronicities in nature almost, right? So we know that we know that again, the mind is or everything is basically a thought, a materialized thought, right? Because everything is basically a materialized thought, the key thing is that you have to understand how to make your thoughts materialize into reality, right? There's certain things that this is where, things like things you can look up like The Secret, for example, if you're aware of that, or the there's different books you can look up. There's different sources of wisdom you can catch up on. I think I'll see if I'll post some of them, but basically the trick and trouble is that because everything is a reflection of our minds and our thoughts, the most imperative thing is to control our thoughts, right? How do we materialize the good thoughts into reality and avoid materializing, right, the bad ones? And again, that goes into the previous video of controlling your mind, tapping into yourself through meditation. But um mainly one of the biggest strengtheners of it is also visualization and also conviction, right? You might look at some people like some of us might look at someone in reality or look at someone in our lives and they might not be as intelligent, they might not be as talented, yet they seem to be all right no matter how reckless of a decision or how like unprepared they may seem to be, simply because like they're always like you know someone who walks into the room, or like we've all had people who kind of like go into something with strong conviction, and even if they fail they kind of bounce right back up, right? That is the power of conviction, because is simply conviction is basically energy or emotion in line with thought, right? When your emotion is in line with thought, the more easily it materializes into reality, right? And that's why they say emotion stands for energy in motion, right? Emotion is the primary source through which thought becomes reality. It's the what gives your thought energy, right? So let's say, for example, if you're thinking, we all have intrusive thoughts, we all think random thoughts, right? But the reason that they have no power is because there's no emotion behind them, right? Conviction is continuously and consciously pouring emotion into thought, right? This is why when they say control your emotions, when I say it, or when you hear that from the perspective of, a lot of us are taught that that means to suppress them, right? To suppress and ignore them, to suppress and ignore your emotions, but that leads to a whole bunch of other problems, right? That would also lead to the creation of what folks like Carl Jung would call the shadow. The shadow, and that would basically, the shadow is basically going to take retribution onto you in different ways. It'll just reside in your subconscious and sabotage you and your endeavors in different ways. But when I say control your emotions, I mean learn how to direct that energy into the things that you want to occur into reality, or simply observe it. If you simply observe it and learn to observe it and determine what to do with it, either use it as fuel or let it dissipate. So emotional energy is so like powerful because without that, you lose your thought does not have the necessary, if you cannot direct your energy, your emotion into to the materialization of your thought, or worse, you direct your emotions against your thoughts, you will have problems in life. So the key in order to yeah, the key really is conviction. Some would also call it faith. But my definition of both terms is basically energy, energy in thought powered through emotion, thought in line with emotion. If once your thought and emotion are perfectly attuned or in line, you're basically going to be able to see more concrete changes within reality. That's really all I have to say. This one's really a bit of it's a bit of a short one, but yeah, thought in line with emotion will lead to more concrete changes in life. And the way to control your thoughts is really through observation. The way to control your emotions is through observation. To build up conviction is basically just to build up emotional, to conscientiously direct your emotion towards the thought that you want to occur into reality. That's basically it. God bless.